And actually, why don't I go live on Facebook with this as well? Might as well. Give me a quick second just to publish. And then we can get started in a second. Let's stop screen share. Great, lots of good stuff today. A lot of example emails to go into. Yeah, no worries, Miguel. Caption. There, great. So for those of you who are new to some of my webinars, this is the flow for it. We'll do a quick round of intros, and then we'll dive right into the presentation. I normally pause throughout the presentation as well, so feel free to chime in at any time if you have any questions. Or at the end, there will be plenty of time for Q&A and discussion as well. We should wrap up on time at 4:30 p.m. But yeah, that's basically the outline for it. What I like to do with all of my sessions is, of course, if you have other insights that you found work in your situation, do share them. I don't like to see myself as the expert. I always feel that everyone has something to contribute. Everyone has a different style. Everyone finds that certain things will work better in their industry or based on their audience, based on their customers. So do share if you find that you have certain insights that have worked well for you. As usual, make sure that this is inclusive and welcoming space. So if anyone comes off mute, if you hear that they have an accent, do bear with them for a bit. But otherwise, let's get the show on the road. So I'd like to open up with community announcements. So this time and the chance for anyone to come off mute and share a bit about what you're doing. You can just introduce yourself or your company. You can do like a small pitch if you have an upcoming event or workshop. If you are hiring, if you're looking for a job, feel free to share these kind of things here as well. In general, the only thing that I try to stay away from is I don't recommend directly pitching a sale in the community announcements. But otherwise, if you have anything interesting to share, do put it out here. So anyone want to come off mute to introduce themselves?
I could start here.
Yeah,
sure. My name is Paul Opashinsky. I run a company called Playficient. So I help companies see through the bull and really focus what matters on the employee experience. So that's, creating more playful cultures that doesn't rely on the kindergarten office. That's employee onboarding, employee experience design, employee journey mapping. I guess as upcoming events, as I was talking with Chen earlier, I do have a virtual workshop this coming Thursday on how to do onboarding in a post-COVID, or I don't want to say post-COVID, in a more remote world. It'll be similar to like this is kind of like our talk, hour and a half, I guess. Yeah.
Great. Can you share the info in the chat?
Mm-hmm. I'll go pull that up.
Good to see you, Sean. Anyone else want to do the intros?
I can do also. Sure. My name is Kristen Livrand. I'm from Finland, but living at the moment in Mexico. I'm working as a CEO and CEO founder of Digital Marketing San Pedro, which is futuristic digital marketing agency. I'm about to email campaign to find more customers, and that's why I am here.
Great. Welcome, Justin. We're just doing intros. Anyone else want to come off mute and do the intro?
Yeah, I can talk really fast. Hey, Chin, nice to meet you on here. Sorry, I was just kind of away from my computer, so I didn't respond to you in time. No. So for those that don't know me, my name is Sean. Met Chin for a while now since my first venture. Great guy. Looking forward to the session. Currently, we build a map-based collaboration platform with Matador.com to help better manage a location-based project with environmental, oil and gas, and people in the energy sector as well. So nice to meet you all, and hope to connect with you guys all afterwards.
Great. Feel free to share your LinkedIn profiles in the chat as well, anyone, if you want people to connect with you.
Cool.
Anyone else want to do an intro?
Oh, hey.
I can share. Yeah, so hi everyone, and my name is Helen. So first of all, I want to thank Chin for organizing this timely event. It's the digital economy and email marketing, and yeah, email is very important as always, and also now it's very important as well. And yeah, I'm a small business advisor from Scotiabank, and I help entrepreneurs to be successful in the financial, to take care of their financial well-being. Yeah, so I look forward to talking to everyone. Thank you.
Great. I think was it Justin that was trying to say something?
Yeah, hey guys. I'm a sales guy. I've already been to a few of Chin's in-person stuff before, and I just pick up a few more things. That's it. Thanks.
Great. Anyone else? Miguel, did you want to say something, or?
Oh yeah, sure. My name is Miguel. Leading business development and sustainability innovation at a local Vancouver startup called Drinkville. We're providing zero waste vending machines for both soap and detergent products as well as drinks, such as kombucha, teas, ginger beers, etc. Here again to just pick up any tricks of the trade related to potential sales, as I am in that realm now for this company from Chin, and just kind of going from there. Pleasure to connect with all of you.
Great. Great, I think we got everyone. I think let's just dive into it. So my name is Chin. I think almost everyone knows me here, so I don't think I have to go into too much of an intro. I think Kristen's the only new one, so just a quick and light background. I spent the last 5 years working at a social venture incubator accelerator known as Spring. I now run my own company known as Classy Owl. So in the last probably about 10 years or so, both with Spring and prior to that when I was working in corporate sales, I was mostly involved in the sales side of things and BD. So hopefully whatever I'm sharing today is going to be quite relevant, because I think corporate has a lot of good practices that the startups don't normally see. So bringing some of those techniques, methodologies, and processes from the corporate world and kind of helping startups with implementing good sales strategies, that's kind of what I enjoy doing. So yeah, looking forward to sharing with all of you today. So a few key outcomes today. I'm going to cover three main things. So number one is how to optimize your emails to land in inboxes. We'll lightly touch on email copy. So we'll go into how to craft good emails, the right language, how to ask for a response, and then we'll wrap up with list building. So I'll show you exactly how to find emails, how to find the right people to reach out to in organizations, and I'll actually give you a live example of what I'm actually doing right now, because I'm also building a new list at home. So first off, quick question for everyone. What do y'all think is the difference between sales versus marketing emails? And you can type out your ideas in the chat. No right or wrong answer. Feel free to chime in.
I'd say sales emails in particular ask for a more direct call to action.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah, that feels like a really good answer. I will agree on that. Say, yeah, sales is more of a direct call to action. Post marketing is just kind of like, here's stuff we do.
Good point. So I think definitely agree. Definitely feel that sales is more of a direct call to action. But I think one thing to also think about is when you look at whether or not you should be sending a sales or a marketing email, there is this term, I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with, MQL and SQL. So MQL stands for Marketing Qualified Lead, and SQL stands for Sales Qualified Lead. So the idea here is you should be sending a sales email once you identify behavior that tells you that someone is an SQL, a Sales Qualified Lead. So for example, if someone has visited the pricing page on your website, Or let's say when I was working for Spring, we would notice that entrepreneurs would sign up for our programs if they attended at least 3 of our workshops. So what I would do is I would set up a trigger that will automatically notify me once someone has registered for at least 3 of my workshops, and I'll reach out to them and say, hey, I noticed that you've been for a few of our workshops. Are you starting a company? Do you need support? So that's kind of how I would start to engage in that sales interaction. On the marketing side, that's where you're looking at usually warming up the lead and getting them to the state where they are ready to eventually transition into SQL. So for example, you might be sharing blog articles, you might be sharing your monthly newsletter, you might be sharing different events, different workshops, things like that. So I'd say that's the main difference. Sales is more of a personal interaction. You're looking for a dialogue. And in marketing emails, it's usually one way. So you're usually looking to, hey, give them some resources and let them kind of consume on their own time. So that's kind of the main difference. Another thing to know is usually a lot of people, when they're sending emails, they will use mailing clients. So actually, I'll get right into that. So normally, if you use mailing clients, you'll be using a tool like MailChimp, HubSpot, ActiveCampaign. There are many, many different tools out there. But one thing to know about how mailing clients work is they typically work for marketing emails, not for sales emails. So if your goal, especially related to today's webinar, is to actually send a sales email, then you actually want to stay away from marketing email clients. So I'll talk about why. So let's say, for example, if you use MailChimp. MailChimp, if you know, they are actually a mailing client that is sending email on behalf of many, many companies. So there might be company A, company B, and then your company, right? And they're sending out to many different recipients as well. So one thing that might happen is, let's say if company A, another company, not your company, company A is sending out spam email, and recipient flags that email as spam. What's going to happen is that will actually affect MailChimp servers, and all emails coming from MailChimp to this recipient will go into the spam folder, right? So it's actually affecting all the emails that go through MailChimp to get to this recipient. And eventually, if enough people flag things as spam, it's actually going to give a warning flag, and it's actually going to flag MailChimp servers as actually a bad server. So this is why actually, when you look at many emails that are sent out through email marketing clients, they tend to end up in the promotions or spam folder by default. So even if you are not sending spam, your emails, if you are sending marketing emails through marketing clients, they will more likely happen to end up in the promotions folder, which reduces the open rates and response rates. So do keep that in mind. I've worked with some companies where they expect to get, let's say 50% open rates, 70% open rates, almost impossible with mailing clients. Mailing clients, average open rates are usually about 20 to, let's say, 30%. So that's only the open rates, not even the response rates. So just do keep that in mind. Of course, many of these mail clients, they have other workarounds. So there are certain things that you can do to increase your credibility. So one is they will send out and switch up their servers. So what happens then is it will actually send from different servers every few weeks, every few months, so that even if the servers get flagged as spam, they keep changing the IP, they have different addresses. There are other things you can do, like set up your DKIM, set up your, forgot the other word for it, but basically there are certain things that you can do to verify your domain, and that kind of increases the security and ensures that your emails actually don't end up in spam. So Justin's asking, do you know if you can check how good your email server is to check if it's being marked as spam? There is no easy answer because these mail clients, they constantly get flagged as spam by different companies and different recipients. So their rating is always changing, but I'd say all the big ones, they're usually on the ball and they're pretty good with kind of maintaining a decent amount of credibility. So you can continue to use them if you're sending marketing emails, but if your intention is to have that more one-on-one interaction for a sales email, I'll try to stay away from it. So I'll kind of show you the difference in a bit when I talk about list building. Right. So maybe let's quickly look at a copy first, and then we can go into some sales email analysis, and then we'll talk about list building. So first off, always focus on top of funnel. So what I mean by top of funnel is there's no point in optimizing your email copy for, let's say, your call to actions or response rates if people are not even opening your email. So very simply put, you focus on the subject line first. Once you get decent open rates, then you can optimize the copy of your email. So good subject lines, pretty straightforward. They're short, they're simple. I find that questions are a pretty good subject line. So for example, sometimes I might say something like, who is the best person to speak about this topic? Or quick question, something like that. You want to try to invoke curiosity, and you want to try to make it personalized as well. So another one I've used that I found to be quite effective is I found your company, so I'll actually put it in the company name. I found ABC company on LinkedIn or on Gus, whatever it is. And that kind of invokes some curiosity, and it also makes it a bit personalized as well. So I'm not going to touch too heavily on subject lines, but that's kind of the basics. Sorry, I'm just going to read out Justin's question. I'm in my own email. The guy who was before me sent a lot of spam and bounces. Oh yes, if your own server, if you want to check that, there is a tool that you can use. Sorry, I'm going to quickly digress. So it's called Mail Tester. So this one is the one that you can use. It gives you an email. So it's just mail-tester.com. You copy this email and you send an email to this email. And typically you can send any email, but I recommend sending the email that you plan on using in your sales campaign. And it will actually give you a critique, and it will actually look at a few things. It will look at your own email server for your own domain. It will also look at the copy that you're writing. So if you have words like free or too many links, then it will kind of give you recommendations on how you can improve your score. So hope that helps. Great. So back to email copy. Email copy basics, you want to keep it as short and simple as possible. I think the most common mistake that a lot of people make in sales email is they try to make too big of an ask in the first interaction. So your goal over here is in the email copy, you just want to get it light and easy. You want to make it as easy as possible for someone to say yes. That is the objective of the email. Once they say yes, then you can move on to the next conversation. So short and sweet, make it mobile friendly, of course. Nowadays, it's actually recommended to use plain text rather than HTML. So plain text emails, they look like a regular email that you type out, so it seems more personal. It's not like a marketing email. Also, HTML emails tend to flag spam filters as well. So avoiding HTML if at all possible. Obviously, avoid jargon. And one thing that I find is really underrated, but super useful is when you write, especially if you're writing an email that will go out as kind of like a bulk email to a lot of people, write it with that person's name in place. So I'm not sure if people have used here mail merge techniques, but mail merge is when, actually let me open up my email. I'll quickly show you. So there are different mail merge clients. There's one on Gmail called Yet Another Mail Merge. Outlook has other ones as well, and there are many different tools that do that as well. So if you use MailChimp, they also have a mail merge feature. Basically what it does is it allows you to personalize the email. So you might say, hey, first name. So this is kind of one of the formats. Basically what it will do is it will replace that first name area with the person's name. So it will say, hey, John, if you have John in the column. And then it will send out the email to everyone on the list, and it will replace all the first names with the different names depending on who you're reaching out to. So that's what we call a mail merge. But the thing is, when you write an email in mail merge format, it tends to be a bit distant. So what you find is the saliency, emotional saliency is not quite there, and people don't feel it's as personal. So sometimes you tend to write in the third person view, you tend to write with a little bit of distance from your audience. So I recommend actually just writing a name. So I'm gonna say, hey, Justin, then that way the whole copy flows a bit more naturally. Good question. So Justin's asking, how does it make sense with plain text when apps like Yet Another Mail Merge will hyperlink your email to track? Yes, they hyperlink, but the less HTML formatting, the better in general. So it's not completely plain text, but the idea is just to reduce HTML as much as possible. Oops. Going back to that. Cool. So yes, and the last and final thing is just to wrap it up with one single ask. So usually when people have big requests, that's usually when emails get ignored the most. So when people say, hey, check out my website, check out my pricing page, do you want to jump on a call? If you have like 4 different things for people to do, then they're much less likely to respond to you. Another one that is a big no-no is to avoid vague call to action. So for example, you might say something like, let me know if you're interested. Actually, let me know if you're interested in discussing is a bit better. But I've seen ones where let me know what you think. Like that's kind of vague. Try to avoid that kind of call to action. Or another one to avoid is where you say like, oh, can you tell me about how you do marketing? That's a bit too broad. And when it's too broad, people really need to think to respond. And if that's the case, then they are less likely to respond because they think, oh, if I get back to this person, I need to write a long email and explain everything, and that's too much time for me. So usually what happens is they're not responding, not because they don't want to, but because they feel like, it's too much work right now, I'll come back to it later, but that later never happens and they tend to forget about the email. So the idea is just to make it as easy as possible for them to say yes or to reply. Any questions before I go into the exact format and copy? Any other questions? No? Cool.
Oh, so
Yeah.
what the ask should be? Sorry, you said don't ask too broad. So
Yeah.
give some examples.
Yeah, good question. So asks that are good asks. One example might be asking to have a meeting or asking to jump on a call. That's something that always works. But the way you would ask that is you might say, so there's this technique that I'll go into later. It's called a wide narrow technique. The idea with the wide narrow technique is you're not saying, when do you want to meet? You're saying, hey, I'd love to chat with you. Does Friday next week at 2 p.m. or Saturday at 4 p.m. work for you? So immediately it's narrow. People can right away look at the email and say, hey, you know what, Friday 2 p.m. works. Let's book it in. So that's the narrow part. And then the wide part is you're acknowledging that they're in a position of power. So what you're saying is, if neither of those times work, I'm also happy to work around your schedule or send me your calendar link or something like that. So the idea is you're acknowledging that you are the one asking for a meeting and that you're happy to work around the schedule. So that's one type of ask. Another one that works is you might say, hey, so this one was one I use at Spring. So when we were running our fundraising programs, I would reach out to companies on Gus. And because companies on Gus are usually companies that are listed because they're looking for investors. So I might ask them, right? I'm gonna say, hey, are you raising capital now or in the next 6 months? If you are, then I think we might be able to help you in some way. So that's my ask. I'm just saying, are you raising capital now or in the next 6 months? So if they say yes, then I will reply to them. And then the next thing I'll try to do is try to get a meeting with them. But the idea is I just want to quickly qualify. Does that answer the question?
Oh, yes, very good. Thank you.
Great. Great. Any other comments, questions?
Oh, maybe one comment like you were talking about, are you raising capital now or in 6 months? Is it better to switch this to the end of the sentence?
Yes. Yeah, so I'll actually show you the email in a second.
Okay.
Yeah. So sorry, I was just speaking off the top of my head, but I'll actually show you the email and it is worded a bit better as well. So maybe I'll quickly show you kind of the follow-up sequence as well before we get into that. So this is the follow-up sequence that I learned. And if you're wondering who that guy is on the right side, that is Ramit Sethi. He has this great small ebook called 50 Proven Email Scripts. And if you want that ebook, send me an email, I can send it to you. And he actually breaks down email copy. He talks about a lot of these techniques. So a lot of what I learned from him. So this is a sequence that he works, and I've actually put it into practice and seen it work quite effectively. The idea is you want to send a 4 email sequence. And this is the way you do it so that it doesn't come across as being too pushy. So email number 1 is the intro and ask. Email number 2 is the reminder. Email number 3 is actually not an email. And then email number 4 is a breakup email. So I'll go into that in a bit. Yes, definitely agree with Paul. Oh, yes, Justin, I am sharing the screen. Give me a second. Let me try to stop and reshare the screen. Do you see the screen now? Okay. Justin, let me know if you don't see the screen. Otherwise, I'm going to move on. So yeah, so this, I'll go into the email, each of the emails. So email number one is the quick ask. So what you're doing is you start the email with a quick intro, and the intro is you talk about how you know them. So you might say, oh, I found you on LinkedIn, or I found you on this platform or this association or whatever it is. The next thing that you want to do is you want to quickly jump to a relevant and sincere praise. So you don't want to just flatter someone. You want to try to do some research. It doesn't have to be deep research, but if you do any research, it goes a long way. The idea is to personalize it, be relevant and sincere in some way. So I'll show you some examples later. And then you introduce yourself. So you kind of frame the context, you talk about why you're reaching out to them, and then you ask for the response. So that is all in the first email. The first email should be no longer than 2 paragraphs. So super short, super simple email. The second email is actually not, it is an email, but it's not like a different type of email. So the best second emails typically are reply in line. So you're not sending a new email with a new subject line. You're just hitting reply on the previous email that you send. And the way that you frame it is you just say, hey, not sure if you missed my first email. I'm not sure if it got buried in your inbox. Just sending you another email to buff it up. And then you repeat the ask. That's all. So you're not saying like, hey, I thought you should check out this article, or hey, I came across this workshop, maybe you might be interested in it. No, nothing like that. So you're not promoting something else. You're just saying, hey, not sure if you missed my first email. Not sure if it got buried in your inbox. And then you just bump it up. So that's all you're doing. Typically, you can send, as soon as even 2 days. You don't have to wait 3 to 4 days. So that's the second email. The third email is actually somewhere else. So if they're not responsive via email, then this is the time for you to reach out on some other platform like LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter, or maybe even call them if you know their contact. And the idea is you're just following up with them and you're saying, hey, I'm not sure if email is the best way to reach you. Just thought I'd try to reach out and connect with you on LinkedIn. And then you repeat the exact same thing in the first email. So that is all. You're just saying, hey, not sure if email is the best way to reach you. When you do this, it does not come across as pushy, because you're just saying, hey, I'm not sure if email is the best way to reach you. So it's a very valid assumption, right? So that's third email, or third contact point. And then the fourth one is what we call the breakup email. So in the breakup email, what you do is you start with an easy out. So the term that we use over here is this is the guilty parachute. So you make them feel a bit guilty, but you also give them a good excuse. So you might say, hey, you know what, maybe it's summertime now, you might be away with your family, or maybe if you use COVID as an excuse, you might say, things might be hectic at home while you're working from home. Thought I'd just try to follow up one last time, really value your feedback because of XYZ, or I really thought your company really cared about this issue, or whatever it is. So the idea is you want to give them an easy out, but you also want to make them feel a bit guilty. And then you say, this is my last try. I'm not going to bother you anymore. So you actually say, last try, and then you just repeat the ask. That's it. Very, very simple. And I find that if you have to go all the way to the fourth email, most companies will usually respond by the fourth email. So I would say at a minimum, you'll see at least 30% response rates. But I'll show you some of my examples that is usually a lot higher. And usually most people are very appreciative for you to actually continually follow up as well, because they're not ignoring your emails because they don't like you, but simply because they've been too busy, they haven't had time to reply, or they haven't had the time to look at the calendar. Any questions on this before we go into some case studies and examples? Right, great, we'll move on. So why don't we look at some emails? So these are some bad ones. And quickly, while you're looking at it, feel free to type in the chat or come off mute if you have any comments. So this is the first email. What do you guys think? What are some good things? What are some bad things? Super generic, copy and paste, definitely. Other comments?
So I think it looks like selfish. It's all about us, I.
Oh, yes, very good observation.
Yeah, without addressing people's name and also their concern, their company, and didn't do any research.
Yep, great. No, that is spot on. And Sean is saying too many links, no clear call to action. Definitely agree. So maybe I'll talk about what I like first. So what I like is he used spacing really well. So it's not too like a block of text. It's fairly readable on mobile as well. So he's also making good use of font sizing and bolding the right way. So he's highlighting certain things. But of course, like Helen said, not personalized. So it's just a blank hi. You know, like Paul mentioned, it's super generic, it's copy pasted. That's actually a great observation. A lot of I language instead of you. So it's more I, us, check out our work, that kind of stuff. Too many links, like Sean mentioned. So when you have too many links, you're having too many different call to action. So check out our brand book, check out our work. You know, here's my website, too many different things, no clear call to action. So what do you want me to do? Click on all those links, what's next, right? So definitely agree with all of those. He's also, of course, obviously jumping to pricing too quickly. So he's trying to close me in one interaction, and that's usually a big no-no as well with sales team. So this is another one. So I'll just quickly go through my observations on this one. So this one here, obviously I included the subject line here because it was actually a pretty good one. So discount perks for entrepreneurs of Spring Vancouver. So you can see, because it actually has our company name in the subject line, it prompted curiosity, so I ended up opening it. But I would still say not the best. So number one, had he looked at our website, he could really easily look at our team page and just found someone's name to put in there. So he could just say, hello, you know, Chen, or hello, Keith. His space, again, good use of spacing. If you notice, his sentences are usually pretty short. So not a big block of text. It also translates really well on mobile. You can see personalization. So I think we can reach an agreement with Spring Vancouver. But what is not as good though is he doesn't quite make it relevant for me. So number one, he doesn't tell me how he found us. Number two, he jumps straight into talking about discounts on Edit premium subscription, like what's in it for me. And then if you look at that, he jumps into the premium subscription and he talks about a lot of features. He talks about 1 GB of space, access to thousands of exclusive designs. Like, why do I care, right? So don't feature pitch in your email. The idea is you always want to talk about benefit and values first rather than features. So for example, if you're saying things like 1 GB of space, that's a feature. The benefit might be you can store you know, as much business documents, as many business documents as you need. And then the value of that is that you never lose track of anything important, for example. So the idea is you want to try to speak to the values if you are able to kind of pin down what is important for your client. So again, avoiding pricing. So he's going too much into pricing in the first email. And if you look at the end, there is no strong call to action. So if you need more information or have any questions, we will discuss it without problem. So that's what I mentioned by a vague call to action, right? So no clear next steps. So that's email number 2. This is another example. This is a fairly common one that ends up in spam. Again, no personalization, hi, no name. Again, feature dumping here, right? Website design, we do all this kind of stuff. And then look at the call to action here. Share your requirement, and I can send company information and an affordable quotation with the best offer. So 2 things here. So number one, of course, if I'm not looking for web design or development, then obviously I don't have anything to reply to. Instead, he might have found better response if he was actually saying like, hey, are you looking to fix your website or redesign your website in the next few months? Then even if I say no, he can disqualify me as a lead instead of wasting time trying to chase me, right? So that's one. And then if I am actually working on redesigning a website, asking me to send him a requirement is like a pretty big first ask. So it requires that I actually think about what I need, you know, create a checklist, think about what items I want done, things like that. So you want to make sure that your ask is as small and simple as possible. So that's what I mentioned by make it easy for them to say yes. So this one, another obvious one. This one actually ended up in my spam folder, and you can see it was flagged as spam. If you notice, so this is one big no-no again. So if you see, he did do personalization, but he didn't do it the right way. So you see, Dear Chang Chin Heng. So that's my full name there. So when you do list building, make sure you clean your list before you send those emails. So I'll show you how to do list cleaning in a bit. But the idea is he should say Dear Chin or Hi Chin, whatever it is, not Dear full name there. Okay. So make sure you tidy up your list to avoid that kind of stuff. Same with company names as well. Like you don't want to say hello, let's say Sean's company, hello Metador Incorporated. So you want to remove those like incorporated or LTD or LLC, those kind of suffixes. So yeah, that's one comment. The other one here is, this is actually a follow-up email. So I just want to I wanted to point it out. So you see over here, what this person is saying is, just want to check, have you checked my previous email? So obviously it is coming across as being a bit pushy, because if I didn't reply, then why is she following up that way? So instead of saying that, she could have better said, hey, I'm not sure if you missed my previous email. That just comes across a bit better, right? And then of course, the first email, she's asking for a portfolio and a price list. Like that's too big of an ask as well. So just some key things to point out. So this one actually is fairly good. So I want to highlight a few things over here. So same problem with the merge tag where you get the full name here. You know why this typically happens? This happens when, if you have someone who has created an email, and what they do is sometimes when you create let's say a Gmail account or company email, when you put in your name associated to your domain, the way you put it in is your full name, and then that happens. That's why you see Hi Chang Chin Heng, you get the full thing again. So it doesn't come across really cleanly. Other things to point out is too many links like before. Kind of confusing to see too many things that are bolded. So again, too many things for me to focus on. What he does do pretty well though, is he uses credibility points. So you see over here, among our first speakers, we have confirmed the participation of Honda, Toyota, Siemens. So that's where you use some credibility to get people to become interested as well. So doing some name dropping, that can be good if you do it the right way. So I just want to point some of those out. This is actually a pretty good one. So this one was actually an email that someone crafted after one of my previous workshops on this same topic. So Erica actually said, hello there. I was just reading about Chief's virtual launch in Boston and think that the support you provide for women in C-suite executives is awesome. So that's the relevant and sincere praise that I mentioned. Chief's two co-founders and I share Boston undergraduate degree in common. So I want to highlight that. So what she's trying to do there is she's trying to build common ground. So in sales, this technique is to try to build rapport with someone. And the idea is when you bring something that is in common, they usually feel that they're more comfortable speaking to you. But I would say it doesn't work very well in this email. And the reason why is because the undergraduate degree in common, that is not relevant for what she's trying to do in this current business and in this task. So I would rather leave that out. And then, are you looking for any support around your Boston launch? So that itself is a question. That itself could be the call to action. So just kind of keep that in mind because she's actually making two call to actions here. So I'm a product organizing expert and speaker who covers workplace topics. So I think that is actually pretty great. The fourth one here, I was just thinking that your members might appreciate and benefit from my empowered boundaries, tools, and strategies, blah, 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 blah. I think what she's trying to do with this fourth paragraph is she's trying to build some credibility and show that she was involved in this other organization in Brazil. But I would say if it's not clearly tied to the call to action, then I would leave it up. And then the second thing is, it's also distracting because you're getting someone to click on a link instead of replying to you. So I would try to avoid links if at all possible in the first email. And then the last piece there, I would be delighted to talk with the best contact at Chief about it on the phone or via video. Could be a stronger call to action. So if she actually says something like, do you have time next week? Then, or are you looking for support? So if you have a question, people are more likely to respond to you instead of just like a light or indirect ask. Make sense? Any questions or comments on this one? Then I'll show you a better one. No comments? Yeah, signature does add a personal touch for sure. Cool. So actually, I'll show you a good one on LinkedIn because I think email outreach also applies to LinkedIn outreach. So this one, Elizabeth connected with me, and if you see her first message, super short. So her intro here is, I built successful product agency and I'm writing a profile series on do's and don'ts. Your name and background came up on my growth radar. So she's talking about how she found me. She's also doing her intro. And then the ask is, all she's asking is, would you be open to share how you converted traffic? So she's not actually asking me to share how exactly I did it, but she's just asking, are you open to sharing? So of course I responded and I said, yeah, I'm happy to share. And then we actually ended up in quite an interesting discussion. And then I jumped on a call with her as well. It wasn't really a sales related conversation, but I'm sure she was actually using it to look for leads as well. So that's actually a good way to actually show that you can cram a lot into a short paragraph. So this is the email that I used when I was working at AdSpring and when I was trying to find companies that were fundraising. So you can see over here, look at the subject line, found Teen Job Find on Gus. So there's the personalization there. You can see the email, hey Janet. Actually, I could probably take out the first line. I say, great to email you, hope you're doing well. Not really that necessary. So I said, I came across Teen Job Find on Gus. I believe we have aligned values to use business as a force for good. So what I was looking for is I'm looking for social ventures. These are companies that are doing good in some way, not just focus on profits. And then this here, I'm trying to make it personal, but I'm actually not making it an ask. So I say, I'd like to hear more about your impact-driven venture, but I'm not putting a question mark there because I don't want them to actually respond to that. And then I go into a brief intro. I say, we help mission-driven companies around the world that are raising seed capital, especially if they're looking to get it from impact investors. So again, there's some relevancy there. So you notice I'm using business as a force for good, alignment, impact investors. This is my ask, and I'm bolding it. Was wondering, are you currently raising around funding or planning to in the next 6 months? And then I'm wrapping up with just a quick iteration again. Spring specializes in providing training, coaching, and mentorship on fundraising. Let me know if you're raising and we can get deeper and see if we can collaborate. So that is my simple first email. And just to show you some of the results. So this is only one of the campaigns that I sent out. I sent out, I think, about 6 or 7 of these campaigns. And in this one campaign, I sent out 58 emails. Of the 58 emails, 47 of them were open. So 87% open rate. And you don't get that with email clients. So this was actually sent with a mail merge. And this view that you see is actually through yet another mail merge. And response rates, 46 of the 47 of them actually responded. So I think it goes to show, like, even if you get a no, that's a pretty good response rate. The idea is, yes is the best answer, no is the second best answer. You want to disqualify them, don't waste your time, right? Any questions before I show you list building? Again, feel free to come off mute if you want. It's a lot faster for you to just speak rather than type.
Ching, since you deal with global audience, like including those entrepreneurs from Mexico, so can you share some cultural differences for emails that you noticed?
Ooh, good question. Cultural differences. I would notice the biggest one is usually with, I would say, Eastern and Western culture. And that's where you typically see Eastern culture is a lot more formal. So if you're looking at people from, let's say, India or Asia, they normally have a lot of like, dear Mr. Chang or something like that, instead of like, hey, John. So in North America, it's usually first name basis. It's usually very informal writing. And I actually find that I believe, in my opinion, that the Western style actually works better, even if you're reaching out to people who are based in Eastern cultures. So even if you're trying to reach out to a CEO that is based in China, just taking that more personalized approach, I think it's a lot more palatable rather than just being like, hey, Mr. John. It sounds like those, you've seen a lot of those spam emails. Hey, Mr. Chang, I'm a rich prince in Nigeria and I have money to wire transfer to you, that kind of stuff. So I personally prefer the first name basis. So that's the biggest one that I noticed. Yeah, I don't think anything else that really stands out on the cultural side. Any other questions, comments? No? Great. So I'll show you list building, and I'll show you go through a live example as well. So list building, this is the workflow. And again, if you don't get to catch all of this, don't worry, I'm sharing the recording and the slides as well. So what you're doing with list building is the first step is you find a list of companies, and you can do that in any way through LinkedIn, through lists, associations, government listings. Once you have a list of companies, the next step is to find out who you want to reach out at those companies. So you can try the About Us page if it's a smaller company. You can try LinkedIn to look for people who work at the company. And then you can use a tool like Hunter, or there's another one called Viola Norbert. And the idea is those tools will actually try to guess the email for you. So I'll show you how to do that. And then you can validate those emails, and then you can use a tool or freelancing platform like Upwork to automate the list building. It is a fairly tedious and repetitive task. Once you've automated and built a list, then the next step is to clean the list. So remove all emails that are outdated. Some people have left the organization. Sometimes there's a typo in the email. And then once you have your list clean, then you review your email copy for spamminess. So you can use a tool like Mail Tester to make sure it's not raising any spam filters. And then you send via mail merge. So I'll show you how to do that. So first, list building. So this is one of the tools you can use. So this one is called Growth Genius. Growth Genius is a company based out of Toronto. And what it does is that it's actually integrated with LinkedIn, and you can put in different kind of filters. So you can search for titles, you can search based on location, company, employees. So I will quickly show you not only through Growth Genius, but I'll show you how to do it through LinkedIn. Right. Do you all see my LinkedIn right now, or are you looking at the presentation?
I see the presentation.
I'm gonna quickly change the screen. There, you should see my LinkedIn now. So let me show you. So I was looking for, let's say, Whole Foods. So LinkedIn, when you search, you can pull up all filters, and you can also do that kind of filtration. So you can look for companies in Canada. You can look for, first degree, second degree connections. You can look for titles. So that's an example. So even if I don't want to look for Whole Foods, let's say I'm just doing a generic search in my network. Let's say I'm looking for people who have the title with innovation in them. So apply, and then you can see I can have a full list. And if you have Sales Navigator on LinkedIn, you get actually a lot more filtration options. So the idea is you start to build a list of potential companies or contacts. So going back to here, so you start to create a list. All you really need is you just need the company name and the website to start. Another quick hack or tip is you can search .csv to pull up many, many different types of lists as well. So for example, I might say, so when I was looking for companies that were impact-driven ventures, there's this certification known as B Corp. So B Corp is a certification that actually shows that these companies are do-good companies. So I just search bcorp.csv. And then it will actually pull up a list of companies. And this was actually where I found the data. So that's actually how I got this spreadsheet with, I think, over 5,000 different emails, I think. So you can add a .csv in terms of file type to pull up different lists and see if you can find an industry list or something anywhere. So once you have the company, the next step is to try to find who you want to reach out to. So small companies or medium-sized companies usually have their team page. So for example, Spring and many other companies have it as well. You just go like who we are or team or whatever it is. And that's where you can find different contacts there. So for example, Keith is here, Carolyn is here, Sophie is here. So it's a lot easier than you think to find their contacts. If you can't find them on a team page, this is how you do it on LinkedIn. So let's say when I was looking at Whole Foods before, Whole Foods Market, if you pull up the company page, you can see over here. So in the middle right, there's a see all employees on LinkedIn. and it will actually pull a list of the employees. You can, again, add your filters. You might say, I'm looking for people in Vancouver. And it will filter down, and you can even filter by title as well. So once you know who to reach out to, you're starting to build your list. So I'll show you how I'm doing it in a second by getting back to that. So you look for a decision maker, and then you try to guess the email. So I'll show you this tool. So this tool is called hunter.io. And let's say I'll use Whole Foods as an example. So actually, I was just looking at Whole Foods. WholeFoodsMarket.com. And you can see this is the most common pattern for the emails. It's usually first name dot last name at Whole Foods Market. And you can actually see where the email is listed as well. So you can open up, sometimes it's in a PR or news article. That's usually where it's listed. Sometimes it's on your website. And once you know what the email is, you can try and guess it. So even if you can't find the email, you can try to guess the email based on the format that's suggested. So back to here. So you guess the email, then you start create your list. So by this stage, you now have your first name, your last name, your title, the company name, your website, and your email. Pretty much everything you need to start reaching out to them, right? So you're creating your list. And what you do now is, this is the boring part. This is where you just have to do the same thing over and over again to find more and more companies. And this is where you can automate it by actually outsourcing it to freelancers. Few tips on freelancing. When you're outsourcing on freelancing, number one, make sure that you are very specific with the instructions. The more specific you are, the less errors will happen. Number two, make sure that you are actually double checking their work. Sometimes people, freelancers that are doing this building work, they will duplicate some efforts just to show you that they're creating a bigger list in the same amount of time, but it's actually like a low quality list. So what I normally do is when I hire freelancers, I hire a few and I also test them to make sure that I'm getting the best freelancer to do my automation for me. So you can do that. So yeah, just make sure clean instructions, you double check the quality of your work before you continue and get them to do more. And you also test your freelancers against each other as well. So next thing, cleaning your list. So number one, dedupe. Sometimes, like I mentioned, the same email gets entered twice or 3 times. So you remove duplication emails. You verify emails with an email checker. So this is an example email checker here. So I'll quickly pull one email just to give an example. So I was looking at Whole Foods and I want to see if this guy's email is correct. So I put it in here and it will try and verify it for me. Some emails can't be verified, but most can usually be verified as well. So let's see if this will verify. Oh, so if you see this, so it says event is catch-all. This is a technical error. So this is usually for larger companies that have good security setup. They have catch-all servers that actually will capture any email that is sent to an email that doesn't belong to them, or if you can't verify it. So in this case, there's no way for you to actually verify. But usually for small companies, it's possible to verify. So I'll show you this one, Keith at spring.is, which is actually Keith's email as well. Give it a second. There, so you can see it says pass, mailbox exists. So that's one way you can try and guess emails. So I remember trying this with Elon Musk email when I was trying to find Elon at tesla.com. And if it's not the right email, sometimes it will just tell you mailbox does not exist, right? So that's what I mean by cleaning the email. So you verify it and then you check the names. Again, make sure you don't have like full name in the email. So it's like hello first name, so not hello full name. Tidy up company name, so you remove all those extra strings. So this is one tool you can use. So under add-ons, there's this one called Power Tools. So Power Tools is a paid add-on, but I think it's very worth the money. So this one over here that I use a lot is, so dedupe and compare. That's the one where you remove duplicate emails. And then there's text where you can remove certain strings. Oops, update. Just improve that. right, so, ooh, I should be on the paid account. There we go. Oops. I think it might have been on my work email. Let's try to put that up. Actually, maybe, oh, there we go. Looks like I might not have upgraded on the paid version yet. But basically, the text allows you to remove substrings, so you can remove like any word that ends in LLC, or you can remove extra spaces, you can remove incorporated, things like that, and it just helps you clean your list a lot more quickly. So yeah, clean your list. Once you clean your list, so that's the example. So you can actually see remove leading and trailing spaces, remove first letters, you can remove by position, you can remove the first 5 characters, things like that as well. You verify the email, and then you send a test email of whatever email that you're planning on sending out. Check your score. It will actually tell you things like, Justin was asking authentication errors. Are you flagged on any spam filters, things like that. And then you send the mail merge. So that's basically the process. So sending the mail merge, yet another mail merge, it works with your Gmail inbox. So you just type out an email in Gmail and it'll pull from your inbox. And then you hit send. So that's basically the process on how to do list building. I know some people had to jump off, but so far for you guys, any questions? And then we can talk about some other stuff. Maybe I'll quickly show you a few ones. So let's give me an example here. Donnelly Group. So Donnelly Group is a group of restaurants here in Canada. First thing I need to do is I need to pull up their website. I'll search them on LinkedIn as well. Oops, not the automotive one. Hospitality, there we go. Employees. So let's say with Donnelly Group, what I'm doing here is I'm organizing a hackathon. So the hackathon, I'm trying to reach someone who is director level, usually someone who is involved with innovation. So I think I can probably try director of operations, Jeff. So when I'm building this, I would say Jeff. This is the, let me double check the spelling, B-I-L-L-I-C-K. And what I will do is with Donnelly Group's website, I will put it into hunter.ca. So you can see the format is usually first and then initial of the last name. So I can guess that his email is likely jeff.b@donnellygroup.ca. Oops, I'll use the formatting there. And I can verify the email over here and see if it actually works. Oh, so see, it shows you domain does not exist. So this is probably not the right email. Then I can try and guess different emails. So what might usually happen is for certain people who are director level, executive level, they might not have the same format. So I can actually just try, let's say, jeff@donnellygroup.ca. So you can use this method to also try to guess the right email as well. Does not exist, doesn't work as well. Well, I can try different formats and try and guess, but I'm not going to go through that. But yeah, I think you get the idea. So that actually helps you kind of build your list. And then once you have your list, you clean your list, and then you can do your mail merge. So that's basically the process behind that. Cool. So I'm just going to wrap up. So the idea is, if you're doing sales email, try to send with your inbox if possible. Use your mail merge. And the idea is don't try to jump to getting a sale, escalate the conversation gradually, and just try to be human, right? The questions I commonly get is if you send in bulk via your inbox, there is a danger. So the danger is sometimes what happens is your own domain can be triggered and flagged as spam if you're sending spammy emails. So you don't want to come across as being spammy, so always make sure you personalize your emails. And when you follow up, that's why you're not following up by actually sending other kind of resources. You're not sending, hey, check out this article, nothing like that. You're just saying, hey, not sure if you missed my previous email, just following up, right? And that's also where the inline follow-ups help avoid the spam flagging as well. So yeah, that's basically it. If anyone is interested in upcoming workshops, we have a few coming up. So there's one tomorrow on life insurance, one next week on sales copy, on August 5th on revenue and growth optimization. So that's more strategy side. So like pricing, looking at revenue engines, channels, things like that. We have one on August 12th on diets. We have one on August 19th on purpose and value discovery. So if you're interested in learning more, you can check out the website. And yeah, here's my email. If you want the slides, if you want a recording, just send me an email. Cool. Any other questions? Any other comments?
I just posted in the chat, there's another tool I use like in conjunction with Hunter called Clearbit. Like it works right with Gmails. I found it's super helpful, and like 9 times out of 10, I could find the right email.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, there's one
Yep.
that doesn't work, but.
Yep, that's a good one. Yeah, the book, Raman said this book, if you want it, just send me an email, I can send it to you. If you are looking to learn more about setting up your marketing email client the right way, so like DNS settings, DKIM settings, then you can actually check out the Cold Email Academy by Mailshake. It actually walks you through how to do all of that. And there's another one called Email Masterclass by Mailshake that I actually kind of goes through some of the stuff that I talked about as well. Cool.
Well, yeah, this is really helpful. Especially some of those couple of links you provide, like the email, like that bulk email checker is also really good, and that newsletter spam test will be helpful. I don't think I have that issue, but it's still good to have around.
Yeah. Cool. Otherwise, that is the presentation. If you guys are interested in learning how to work more with me in terms of sales and kind of getting a bit more support with your startup, then I do have a program that's coming up that I can quickly talk about. Are you guys okay with that, or probably not necessary at this point?
Is this the one that you have in your newsletter? I think you sent it out. I think I've seen it.
Yeah, that's the Sales Academy that I'm running. Yeah.
I'm curious. Yeah, I think I saw it in your email in the newsletter.
Yeah, I'll quickly go over that if you're okay with that. So this is a new program I'm starting next month. It's going to actually be almost a whole month in terms of the program, so it's quite comprehensive. And it is very personalized. During that whole month, you're working with me. I'm actually giving you assignments to do different things around sales, around the strategy. We will work on building a sales strategy together. It is not for B2C companies. It's more for B2B companies. And you usually need to have an offering that's at least $3,000, or at least your lifetime value of the customer needs to be at least $3,000 for it. And it is more around the sales aspect of things. So I'm going to cover some sales basics. So this is more for people who don't have sales experience, talking about things like frameworks, methodologies, buyer psychology, how people make decisions. We'll go into growth engines, revenue model, talk about pricing, talk about sales experiments, and then we'll go more into the strategy side of things. How do you create a sales marketing strategy? What channels do you use? What tools do you use? How do you automate things? How do you create your funnels? How do you set goals and metrics? How do you hire salespeople? And then in the technique side of things, that's more around copywriting. How do you establish rapport? How do you overcome objections? How do you ask for the sale? How do you negotiate? Things like that as well. So it is quite comprehensive. Every week there's going to be different assignments. And then you get a whole bunch of tools, checklists, templates, things that I have built out as well. So like call scripts, you'll get some of those templates. You'll get customer persona templates, prospect funnel templates, sales strategy templates, things like that. So that's kind of the idea of the program, and it will start on August 5th. So yeah, if you're interested in learning more about it, I can post this in the chat as well. format, some people have been asking me like, when is it going to run? Is it on the weekends or on the weekdays? I haven't quite decided yet. I think the content piece is going to work on the weekends, but then there'll be some touch points throughout the week on the weekdays as well, where I give you different assignments, follow up on your progress, and there's always time for Q&A as well. Yeah.
So is that where you like plan to do like Zoom calls or something at certain times, or?
Probably mostly through email, but if people want to jump on a quick Zoom call, if they want me to give them feedback on their strategy, on their email copy, on anything on their landing pages, things like that, then I'm happy to jump on a Zoom call. Yeah.
Thanks for running this, Chin. I got to bounce now, but this was really good. There's some good stuff because I've been doing more email outreach again. So
yeah,
some of the stuff, especially, I like also the thing about, there was an email 3 where it's like, instead of email, you send like a link to message or Twitter or phone call or something.
Yeah. I'm glad it's been helpful.
Yeah. Right. Take care, Chin. Thank you.
All right. No problem. I'll see you around.
Yeah. See you around.
All right, Miguel, just me and you then. Any questions from you?
No, nothing. Just digesting, just doing a lot of digesting. Thanks a lot again, Chin. Appreciate it.
Yes, right, a lot of info. I'll see you around.
Yep, all the best.